For the past few weeks we've been working on the C major scale in the open position. Now there's plenty more that we could do with just that position and just that scale, but we're going to shift gears a little bit this week and learn a completely new shape and learn how to transpose it into any key that you like, just like I did at the start of this video. So it's super practical and something that you can use in your playing straight away. So grab your guitars and let's just jump straight in. We're going to start with the second finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. The tab's going to be coming up below, and to save time I'm not going to go through every little step like I did with the open position, so just rewatch this section as much as you need to. So with your second finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string you play that note, then the 4th finger on the 5th fret. Moving to the 4th string, the fingers are 1, 2, 4. And then the next string is 1, 3, 4. These are the fingers, not the frets. The frets are below in the tab. Now, in this part of it, you have to shift up by 1 fret. So on the 3rd string, you've gone 1, 3, 4. The 2nd string is the same fingers, but it's up 1 fret. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret. And then finally on the 1st string you have 1st finger on the 3rd fret and 3rd finger on the 5th fret. Then you go all the way down but to the 6th string now. So and then you keep going. So there on the 6th string you have the 4th finger on the 5th fret and the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret. And then you follow that back up to the tonic. Now, like we did in the first lesson in this series, you could play a chord before and after you play the scale, and that helps you to connect the sound of the scale with the sound of the chord. In this case, we could use the C chord on the 3rd fret, the bar chord. So that's 1st finger on the 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, 3rd string and 2nd string. So that's a bar with the 3rd finger. Now another option that's easier to play and also something I'd like to teach you is C major 7. C major 7 goes like this. 1st finger on the 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and finally 4th finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So you could play it like this. Once you can play the scale like that, it's time to move on to the patterns that we did last week, except instead of being in the open position, we're now going to do them in this new position. So I'm just going to run through them here, but it goes 1, 2, 3, you start from the second note, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. So that's the 1, 2, 3 pattern. Now I'm just going to run it all the way through the whole scale. The next pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this time you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just follow that pattern all the way up like we did before. And finally, the thirds pattern. This is the one where you skip a note. So you start at the C, skip the D, and play the E. Then you start at the second note, the D, with the fourth finger. Skip the 3 and go to the 4 on the F here. And you keep doing that. So I'll do the whole pattern. So make sure you practice those patterns, and once you can do them, you can move on to transposing. In order to successfully transpose this scale position, or any other scale position for that matter, into any other key, you first have to understand how the music alphabet works. All that information is up here in these videos, so if you're unfamiliar with this concept, watch those first. If you feel comfortable with it, let's just move on. So we've got our second finger on the root note here, and we're going to play just one octave. All we have to do to change keys is just move that second finger to the root note of the key that we want to go to. Let's choose D. C, C sharp, D. It's on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and we just play the pattern from there. So it's that simple. As long as we know where the root notes are along the string, that's why it's important to understand the music alphabet, we can just play the pattern from there. So we've played it from D, let's move up to F. D, E, F. On the 8th fret of the 5th string. Let's do one more, we'll do A. Now, the open string is an A, but we don't have enough frets down here to play this pattern with the same shape. So what we can do is move up to fret 12, which is the octave of A. We have A with the second finger and we just play the pattern from there. It's always a good idea to make music out of the things that you're practicing. If you improvise with the ideas that you're working on, they're much more likely to become part of your musical vocabulary rather than existing solely as some sort of abstract exercises that never really translate into music. Now I'm going to pick a key to improvise in. I'm going to choose A because we have an open A string. So if you don't have anything to loop a backing track or have a freeze pedal or anything like that to be able to give you some harmony, at least you can use an open string. So you play the pattern from here, just get acquainted with it, play some patterns. And then I could just play that A root note and then play things over it. You can do this without any harmonic backing, but I find it's a bit more fun to have some sort of backing track going on. So I'm going to sustain a chord underneath and then improvise just using some of the patterns with a chord going underneath what I'm doing. So when you've chosen a new key, I suggest not moving on super quick. Stick with it for a bit and get used to that area before moving on. So let's move to F now, just for something different. Now I don't have a root note to sustain underneath what I'm doing, so I'm going to have the chord going again. You could work on this material in many different ways, but the way that I recommend to do it is like this. Learn the new position, that means second finger on the 3rd fret, play the whole position all the way up to the highest note, down to the lowest note, back to the tonic. Then the second step would be to learn the patterns that we did last week, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the thirds pattern. Once you've done that, you can move on to the next step, which would be to transpose it into different keys. You could move up by a fret at a time or just go to random keys, but the idea would be to learn the whole position, up, down, back to the tonic, and then do all the patterns with that. And once you've done that, then it's time to move on to having some sort of harmonic backing and then improvising with these positions. You can play fragments of patterns, you can just make whatever you want up. Anything like that that involves improvising is good. Alright, that's it for this week. I hope you guys got something out of this lesson that you can use in your playing straight away. If you liked the video, click the like button, subscribe, all of that sort of stuff. If you have any questions, put those in the comments below and I'll get back to those. And I'll see you in the next one next week.